Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to Inspirate Business, where we here to inspire, empower, and enlighten you. Now, as you've been following the news, something that has become quite a tragedy that has resulted in a national disaster for our country. A couple of weeks back, we heard of children dying from food-borne disease, food-borne illnesses, what is now termed the Naledi 9, and subsequently many other children dying from food-related products. This has put the township economy into the spotlight, and it's a melee of issues resulting in manufacturers being affected, a big change happening around regulations that are being enforced by government, with illegal spaza store owners having to now become compliant. And we want to go and tap into this whole myriad of challenges and opportunities in this industry. And we have none other than what we would term the father of the township economy, Mr. Bheki Twala. Thank you so much for embracing us with your presence. It's an absolute honor to have you on the Inspirate Business Show.
No, thank you. Good evening, Yusuf, and good evening to the viewers at home. We are very excited as TECSA to be here. I think we are here today to unpack the township economy, because often people, when they talk about township economy, they don't really understand what is township economy. We are very excited about the opportunity.
Right, so TECSA stands for the Township Economy Commission of South Africa.
Yeah, it's a Township Economic Commission of South Africa. I'm the founder and the president. Maybe if I can then also just unpack TECSA. Our mandate is very simple. One is to transform the township economy, develop the township economy, grow the township economy, but also protect the township economy with a specific objective of building the townships of the future, the townships we want, the township where we could stay, learn, work, and play. Basically, that's us. That is why we're very excited also to be here. TECSA is an NPC. We've got the footprint in all 9 provinces.
Oh, wow. And you've been operating for a long time now?
Yes, the concept is started for quite a long time. But the registration of TECSA, we registered TECSA, I think it was 2019. Maybe just to give you my background, we started talking about township economy way back in 1990. When we were talking about township economy, it was not fashionable. And then fast forward in 1993, I was awarded the Community Build of the Year award, with the Nation Building Project, the late agri-clusters product. Now, fast forward 2006, when we were engaged with then the president, Bheki, if you remember, he was talking about the first economy, the second economy, formal economy, informal economy, up until he came up with what we call African Renaissance. Then basically we were pushing the township economy in the corridors. But fast forward to 2014, when the 5th administration in Gauteng came on board with the former Premier David Makura, we've hosted the inaugural Township Economy Summit in Orlando Stadium. It was on the 7th of October 2014. Then we were launching what we call the Township Revitalization Strategy 2019, so that we were, trying to make sure that we reclaim the township economy, or transform the township economy. Yusuf, if you can remember, between 2014 and 2019, there were a lot of this spaza shop looting and all that. People, they were trying to foster in the revitalization strategy, but unfortunately it never worked. But fast forward to 2019, when we look at the achievement of the strategy, only to find little was achieved. That is why the former premier then engaged with the business school, the West Business School. They came up with a paper called the Township Economic Development Bill, where we then went to the communities, to unpack the bill and all that. It had 7 chapters. And then 2019, 2020, COVID came, and then we had to take it to virtual. Then, because before the COVID, we were going, on community halls and township halls, just to sort of like do the stakeholder engagement, so that we unpack the Township Economy Development Bill. And then we've pushed the former premier to sign the bill. The bill was signed on the 29th of April 2022 into law, and then it became the Township Economy Development Act, which is also called TEDA. One of the elements in the Act, Chapter 6, it talks about the municipalities and the participation of the municipalities in terms of the bylaws and all that. Then also it's got Chapter 5 talks about the Township Economy Partnership Fund. Because remember, when you talk about township economy, there are, access issues are access. One, access to funding, access to information, access to market, all those things. Then the Act was talking about. But also just to unpack, or for people to understand what is township economy. Township economy is the market that has the buying power. We are now, in Soweto alone, I think we are now reached, the 2 million threshold in terms of population. But township economy, it's 900 billion rand market, the one that is banking. But Spaza Shop alone, it's about 150 to 180 billion rand, market per annum. It's a very big economy. It's 60% formal and 40% informal. That is why we've also lobbied with the president, also with the government, to say we need to, start formalizing, the retail industry, most especially the Spaza Shop. Hence, you see now the president is talking about, the 21 days. Because of it's unfortunate, Yusuf, as we were saying earlier on, we had to lose our kids to be where we are in terms of these food-borne illnesses that we are seeing now. With the kids that are dying, it's now more than 20, 21, 22 kids that have died. From that, and it still continue. We just want to then check what is the source, where this whole thing all of a sudden is just coming in. But we are very excited, as I said, to be here.
Yeah, and I mean, it's sad, as you say, that it took the deaths of these kids to really accentuate the problem. However, as is the case with many of these type of things, there's always the solutions. And I think that's where I see you come in very strongly because of your what I term 10,000 hours. You've been involved with the township economy since 1990, you say. You seem to have such a lot of intellectual property around what the challenges that are faced in the township economy, as well as what are the opportunities. You talk about 900 billion. I mean, that's a huge amount. And I guess with that, everyone is scrambling to this township economy now to get a piece of the pie. I was telling somebody, a business partner of mine, that it almost feels like the gold rush, where a lot of things are changing, but everyone diving in to try and get a piece of this 900 billion.
Yeah, we call it the township economic gold rush. Actually, we call it the township economy rush.
Yes.
Because everybody wants to get into the space. But as TECSA, we've positioned ourselves as the gateway to the township. Because as I always say, Yusuf, only the pot knows how hot the fire is. Meaning the people in the township are the one that experience these challenges and are the one that has the solutions to these challenges. That is why we always call on government to say, when you really want to solve the problems in the township, engage with the businesses in the township. Government used to say, it becomes difficult to engage with the businesses in the township because there's a lot of forums, organizations, we're all saturated. But what then happened is that we've organized ourselves as the township business formations so that we have the voice as the township. So that at least when the government wants to engage in terms of the stakeholder engagement with the business community, at least they know where to go. We've organized ourselves and we say to government, here we are. Please talk to us, because we also have programs that we've curated, to deal with the challenges in the township. It's very important for the government to always engage, with the people on the ground.
Yeah, I think that's very important when you say you're organized, because when you're looking for investment into the township economy, when you want to attract investment and strategic partners, then it is important to have a governance structure. And the fact that you talk about organization is very, very critical, because there's this misnomer that the township economy is not organized.
Yeah, that's an issue. Currently, I can tell you, you could go to the townships now. We've, advocated for the businesses to organize themselves so that we've got the organized business formations, so that those formations then they become the gateway to the township. For example, is that we are now talking about two things that I want us to talk about. One is the issue of the current elephant in the room, which is the spaza shop, that I want us to talk about. But the last one that is very critical that we need to talk about, it's another exciting elephant in the room, which is the G20.
All right, we've got two things to talk about, as Mr. Bheki Twala from TECSA speaks about. We'll talk about it immediately after the break. Welcome back to Inspirate Business, and on the red hot couch we have none other than Bheki Twala. Bheki represents everything to do with the township economy, what is called TECSA. He's also, just before the break, spoken about the SA Spaza store opportunity, which we're going to go and talk about, as well as, very excitingly, the G20, which South Africa officially has now the chairmanship of. And I believe the township economy is an integral part of the G20. We'll talk about that. But as we do on the Inspirate Business Show, is we bring inspiring people like yourself, Bheki. Now, I want to know a little bit about you. You grew up Soweto.
Yeah, born in Soweto,
yeah.
In Snawane. It's Snawane Clinic.
Yeah.
About 52 years back. Started schooling in Soweto. But, during those time of the riots and all that, I had to go to KZN in Escort. Grew up in Escort, but also matriculated back in Soweto, and also attended quite a number of, business development, courses with UJ and also other institutions. But remember, people like us, we are self-made, entrepreneurs, because we're more like streetwise. We understand the ghetto, we understand the township. This is why we always say, you could take the boy out of the township, but you can't take the township out of the boy.
Yes.
Basically, the township and the township economy, it runs in our veins. My father used to run a spaza shop. He was one of the first spaza shop owners in Orange Farm, even before the foreign nationals took over this business. We used to have our own, but by then they were not called spaza shop, Yusuf. They were called corner shops. How they were pushed into smaller shops was when the big malls came into the township. Now they had to force them to go into the sort of like your home shops. Then we ended up calling them spaza shop, because you also need to understand the word spaza. The word spaza means convenient. Whilst you're preparing for something, you need to have something that you can use, as a convenient. That is why how the word spaza shop came about.
And I mean, that word convenience, right? This is exactly what happens. A lady's living on a street, and she just walks out. She sends a child to go and get whatever she needs, her daily essentials, at the corner shop.
Yes.
And that's the spaza store. And that is in townships all across South Africa, including some of the rural areas. And what would they say? I think there's about 250,000, I believe, what they say, official spaza stores around South Africa.
Yeah, remember, in South Africa, Yusuf, we've got about 550 townships. And township economy has got three siblings. It's got your village economy, and it's got your rural economy, and your klein dorpies economy. Because those economies, they also almost the same as your township economy. That is why when we talk township economy, we can't talk township economy leaving those economies like your village economy, your rural economy, and your Kleindorp's economy. And also the semi-urban, there's places that are between townships and, urban areas which are semi-urban. They're not township as such, but they're semi-urban. But also remember, when we talk about township, we also talk about informal settlements as well, which are part and parcel of the township. That is why it's very important to unpack when we talk about township economy, so that people, they understand what we are talking about. For example, Yusuf, if I maybe allow me to sort of unpack it a little bit. You have the township as the buying power, as the, townships as the market. Then we have your industries that has a lot of supply chain in the different industries in the township. Then the industries then form sectors, and then the sectors form the economy. That is why the township economy, we've got 20 plus sectors that are part of the township economy. Often people, when they talk about township economy, they reduce it to only retail and sponsorship.
Yes.
And it's not about retail and sponsorship. You've got your township tourism economy, your township AI economy, your township automotive economy, the township, built environment and construction. There's a lot of them.
Manufacturing as well.
The township manufacturing economy. You remember also the DTIC, they've got what they called black industrialist. We are also saying, when we talk about township economy, it's very important also to talk about product that we manufacture, we produce, because you can't talk about township economy if you don't also produce and manufacture our own product. That is why the issue of this food-borne illnesses come in. Because we're saying, let's industrialize townships. There are industrial parks, but they are not properly run. We are now calling on government to say, with the program of black industrialists, let's also industrialize townships. Because remember, also one of the things that we are doing in terms of industrialization of townships is to then say, let's come up with a program that says, let's walk to work. It's a very important one. And also, making sure that people, they just go, they walk to work rather than catching a taxi, catching a train, to work. Basically, those are the things that, as TECSA, that we're advocating, and we're making sure that we're pushing, because we don't want to remain the spectators and the consumers. We want to get into the field and also be the players.
Now, in terms of that, obviously government is a key stakeholder. And how is that panning out with government?
Yeah, as you know, government is not an easy stakeholder to work with, because they might say something, but also do something else. And also, you remember government, their machine, it's very slow. It's not like private sector. Remember also township economy, it's a private sector, it's not a public sector. People, they often confuse, township economy. We fall under private sector. We do things differently and faster than government. Yes, government, they've got those policies, they've got those acts. But the problem with our government, as you all know, is the issue of the implementation and the turnaround time. That is why you find a situation, it takes too long for government to solve just one problem. For example, we've been calling on government for many years to formalize the sponsorship, but it just fell into the dead years.
You also spoke about this G20, which we'll talk about a little later, because it's fairly new. I think when Brazil had the G20, they brought the favelas into the whole G20. Here's an opportunity for us to bring the township economy in. But in terms of the private sector coming in, this rush that we talk about, I call it the gold rush, very similar to that. Are you finding a lot of private sector companies interested? Is there excitement?
Yeah, there's a lot of these companies that wants to get into the township, but they pretend as if they don't know who to speak to. Yet we are there. They're talking to themselves, and they're talking to the converted. They're talking alone, and then they're not really engaging us and talking to us. They go talk to government, and government make deals with them. That is why you find most of the project, when they're supposed to then implement in the township, those projects, they get the pushback. But at the end of the day, it becomes difficult. As I always say, The township economy, it's a very lucrative and very interesting market, but it's a very difficult market. You need to have your skin in the game to start understanding how to penetrate the market. And the only way is to get the people on the ground, get the businesses that are in the township, engage with them, take them into confidence, but partner with them because they need to also to be part and parcel of the game. You need to bring them on board because we are saying as township businesses, we're not going to sit and just fold our arms, watch the people playing the game in our own territory or in their own ground. We want to be the players at the same time. It's very critical also. We are also calling the private sector to come to us. We are here. Our doors are open to negotiate and talk to them. But we're saying the market is very interesting, but it becomes nicer if people talk to us.
You say something so profound. You give me a lot of energize me when you say that it's all about understanding that individual that's in the township. A very different model to the traditional models, which has been a model, an economic model where you have big business come in. And in many ways, it's a rape and pillage model. It's extraction model and taking out. Whereas this model is one where you actually put in the citizen of the township at the center, organized, and you're enabling this whole thriving economy. And what do they say? When there's money that's pumping in there, then money just revolves around there, and that's when you create a thriving economy.
Very critical and very important, Yusuf, because at the end of the day is if you don't engage the people on the ground, some of this product, they get the pushback because people, they don't take ownership. Because remember, the market becomes exciting if they feel that they're part of the whole system. They take ownership and they also take pride. Remember, people, when they take ownership, they become loyal. Even into those brands. Now, what then happened is that big businesses, they then lost it in a way that they forget to build their brands and brands loyalty so that people are able to, for example, the current situation that we're talking about now, there are brands that you could then look at the brand and then you could see this is not an original brand. Because people knows their brand. Now it's about knowing the brand, but also look at the expiry dates. Those are the things that brands needs to do to also do the consumer education, invest more money to consumers so that people are able to know and understand the brand so that they're able to, become loyal to the brand. And then that's how, you grow your business in the township.
Yes, we've come to the end of this segment, this very intriguing conversation around the township economy. As we come back after the break, let us explore further the township economy as part of the G20. You are watching Inspirate Business, and on our red hot couch, sponsored by Aza Collective, looking very regal, is Bheki Twala, who is the specialist who has his 10,000 hours in the township economy. We are here because of something very sad. The kids that passed away from food-borne illnesses. However, it has put into spotlight this whole township economy, the challenges as well as the opportunities. 900 billion, you said, is this township economy. Very structured, compartmentalized. There's an act in Parliament that was initiated and promulgated by the previous Premier of Gauteng, Comrade David Makhura. And today we are sitting here, and I would term the father and ambassador and voice of the township economy. Now, South Africa has been given the chairmanship of the G20, and you have just recently announced that the township economy is an integral part of the G20.
Yeah, we are very excited as South Africa. Remember, on the 1st of December, South Africa assumed the presidency of the G20. And also, it's very important for us to unpack what is G20. South Africa, it's one of the founders of the G20. we're the only country in Africa that is part of the G20. Now, we are very excited. The G20 this year in Brazil, Brazil brought in the social component of the G20, where they also brought in now the favelas. Remember, favelas are equal to townships. In Brazil, it's just they call them favelas.
Like the informal settlements.
Yes, it's the informal, settlements and the informal economy. Then in India, they call them obviously slums and in other areas. But when you look at the composition, it's almost the same as the townships. We are very excited because I think we were the only organization that on Sunday we've launched what we call the Township Economy in G20 Business Council, where we then look at how do we then position the townships into the G20 so that we make sure that the townships are not left behind. As the president always say, we need to make sure that there's no one that is left behind. Now, when the president spoke, on Tuesday, the 3rd of December, he also spoke about the involvement of the rural economies and the township economy in the space. And there's a call to action for all South Africans also to be part of the G20. We've got what we call now the hashtag Township 20, where the whole concept is to then come up with what we call the G20 Township Economy Working Committee that has about 20 work streams or 20 focus groups that will focus on 20 different sectors in the township. But also at the same time, also we're looking at identifying the 20 top townships in the country in terms of their contribution to their GDP, so that we then focus on the 20. Because it's all about 20, Yusuf. In the township long, we call it Spagamiso 20. That is why the president was talking about the G20 20 years back and the G20 20 years to come. We've got now what we call the G20 Township Economy 2045 strategy, which is it's a 20-year strategy for the G20.
So you said a call to action. Now, yes. I recently attended something where you spoke, and this was, I believe, a call to action. And I see a cap there that has the logo SA Spaza Shop Local. That's next to you there. What exactly is this? Is this as part of that call to action?
Yeah, remember, this is a brilliant product that we've launched. Because remember, as the president of the township economy, I also need to come up with the solutions. The SA Spaza was registered early this year. Around February, March, if I'm not mistaken, we've hosted what we call rebranding Spaza Shop Indaba in Durban. Then immediately after that event that was very successful, attended by the former KZN Premier, and also with the acting DDG in the Department of Small Business, which is now being appointed as the DG. Then immediately after that, we then registered a company called SA Spaza, because obviously in the space where we are, you need to have a foresight. We need to be visionary. And then now SA Spaza, it's coming in as a private initiative to assist in solving the problem of the current elephant in the room in terms of the Spaza Shop, the formalization of Spaza Shop, and also pushing the message. Because sometimes when the message comes from government, it's not clear what is it. For example, when you talk about registering Spaza Shop, what do you mean? Do you mean now people need to register with CIPC, get the bank accounts, register on the central database? What do you mean? Are we saying people, they must register for COCs or COAs, the certificate of acceptability, the trade permits, all those things. Now, we need that as SA Spaza to come in as a private sector to then able to, communicate that message, but also allow people to understand what is the strategy and what is the meaning of formalizing Spaza Shop. As I said, it's a 150 to 180 billion rand market. Now that market can't remain on the informal. It needs to be moved into the informal. One of the things that we're doing here, Yusuf, we're sort of like a bill that we're putting together. It's called the Sectors Reserved Bill. But we're saying in the township, I think there are sectors that we need to reserve for strictly for the township, communities and the township entrepreneurs to play in that space.
So in other words, that would not just be when we think spazas, that would only be food and your essential groceries and that. So you're saying there are other sectors as well that will form part of SA Spaza stores.
Remember, we are not called SA Spaza shops. We are now called SA Spaza stores. Because remember, we've got those home stores that they're like your mini home and family stores. We'll also have your markets, your mini markets, we'll have your superstores, and then we'll have the mega stores. And then we're looking at not just the grocery stores, but we're also getting into the built environment and construction, like your hardwares. We're looking at the automotive spares. We're looking at different type of stores that will come in under the brand SA Spaza.
Yeah, you said even services, right? Like the beauty salons.
Yes. But those are industries that are no longer in our space, like the hair and beauty. The salons are now run by the Mozambicans and also guys from the SADC. We are saying remember those are our brothers, because remember we are part and parcel of the African continental free trade area. AFCFTA, we appreciate that. But what we are saying, the people that are operating and running businesses in the township, they must come in the country legally and then make sure that they get all the papers that allows them also to trade in the legal space. There's a lot of those stores that will be opening. It's not just only the grocery stores, but we're also looking at your cash and pawn stores. There's a lot that we need to look at.
What I like about what you're saying is that when you have a brand like SA Spaza, then you actually create a standard of these type of stores. Right?
Very
and
critical.
I think that's where I think as things have gone wrong and pear-shaped, and that's why we're sitting with the problems we face. A backlash becomes sometimes xenophobic, and you can understand because it's not everybody, but there's been poor standards.
Yeah, as the country, we've dropped the ball. For example, when you look at what is happening with this food-borne illnesses, we've dropped it, after the listerioses. We were supposed to grab it from there to make sure that we prevent it from happening. But it's very critical and very important, Yusuf, to then also come up with solutions. For example, on the 13th and 14th of December, remember the 13th is the deadline for the registration of the Spaza shop. Then we came up with what we call SA Spaza Investment and Trade Expo, where we're now calling on the people that wants to get into this business and the people that are already in the business, so that we then create this movement of the SA Spaza or the retail. Because remember, with SA Spaza, we are reclaiming the retail industry, but we are also transforming, the retail industry, specifically from the low end, and the convenient, businesses and corner stores and the Spaza stores. But at the end of the day, we're doing that at Imbizo, at the Mall of Tembisa. It's a very exciting event that we're putting together, but we're also moving it also, 18 and 19 will be in the Val, so that at the end of the day, we then take this whole concept of the SA Spaza to all,
and SA
townships in
Spaza
the
is
country.
national?
Yeah, it is national. It's a national brand. Remember, with what is currently happening, people, they normally come to me to seek for solutions. As a president, it is my duty to make sure that we come up with the solution. That is why we are now bringing the whole movement of formalizing the retail industry and transforming the retail industry, but also claiming the retail industry back to the people.
Wow, that's very exciting. December, that's very critical. Most people are taking it easy now in December, and you actually really up in the ante.
Yeah, remember, we need to be ready, when we start the new year, making sure, because we will be having a lot of visitors coming in. We also need to make sure that the Spaza shop or the retail and the Spaza industry it's ready, because remember, people will be coming to the townships. We are exploring, and we are inviting people to come to the township. We must make sure that businesses in the township, they run smooth, so that people are able to look at potential, in terms of them coming back and invest.
No, thank you. I mean, we've come to the end of this segment already, and as we go to the last segment, I want to discuss a lot more around the particular SA Spaza store. That what is it, and how can someone get involved? Immediately after the break. Welcome to Inspirate Business, where we inspire, empower, and enlighten you. And we have been enlightened, we have been inspired, and we have been empowered by our guest, Bheki Twala, of the president of the Township Economy Commission of South Africa, and also the president of SA Spaza Stores. Bheki was talking about, just before the break, about SA Spaza Stores and how it has involved in various sectors of the retail side of things. Now, I want to, and you talked about an imbizo that's happening on the 13th, where is a critical date, because that's where the deadline for registrations of Spaza stores must take place. This is what you said, 150 to 200 billion rand sector within a township economy that's 900 billion, including the rural areas and villages. This is huge. We're talking about this being a rush for this economy, and we have to do it the right way. Now, you talk a lot, and it comes across very strongly, your emphasis on doing things right, governance, standards. Want to make something, also thriving entrepreneurs within, putting them first in the townships, empowerment of entrepreneurs in the township, but doing it in a very world-class manner. Now, I already see the logo, and I see the South African flag on the Spaza and that bag that shows retail. I can already see something that exudes a lot of excellence. Tell me a little bit more about what this would be. And yeah, I'm now bringing it down to a very granular level. People that want to get involved. May you be a owner of a property in the township, and you want to, rent your property down, whether you want to empower a family member, whether you want to get involved and invest, whether you're an institute, banking institutes or funding institutes that want to get involved. How does one get involved in this rush, in this gold rush we talk about, this township rush?
The SA Spaza rush.
Yes.
It's also this one particular, the SA Spaza rush.
Yes.
Very simple and very exciting one. We're also putting together what we call SA Spaza Academy, where we then start teaching people in terms of how to start and run a Spaza store, and also looking at how to also maintain the standard, most especially the health standard, and also how to look after the products, so that we put the SA Spaza store in that high level. Remember, it's now a registered business. It must run properly, and it also must entice the people that are coming in. Then the SA Spaza stores are different in terms of the categories. We're also encouraging communities to club together and form a stokvel, where they could buy a store, then they buy to their own store, and then appoint a jockey to run the store. They are just investors. That's the first portion. The second portion, we got what we call franchising. Franchising. It's a new term that I've created, whereby you've got a store, you want to open up a second branch, maybe into your family in another township. Then we can then assist you then to formalize and professionalize your store. But remember also, when you talk about informal economy, it becomes difficult to formalize some of the informal economies, but it's very important then to formalize it. No, sorry, not formalize, but also professionalize, so that it becomes professional. The issue of packaging, the issue of storage, Very important. And also other things that you find in those stores. Then you have your mini markets, the one that will be opening in Rockville very soon.
So is that, have you got your first store identified?
Yes, we've identified the first store in Rockville,
In Morocco, in Soweto.
In Morocco, Soweto, that will be opening very soon. But remember, it's very important when you talk about something, then you're also able to showcase. But remember, people, they believe in the proof of concept.
Yes.
Let's not just talk about it, but let's also showcase it. It will be more like a showroom.
Right.
Because of even the design, the taste, because we're bringing it now into the township, flavor. Townships, they differ in terms of the language, the style. Yes, it might be in Soweto, but the language in Rockville is not the same language in Naledi. The people have got their own taste of the township. Now, what we then do, we'll design those stores according to the taste. For example, with the one in Morocco, it's got the Regina Mundi Church, which is one of the tourism attraction. It's also have a lot of the Alka Stadium, a lot of icons that we might also link it with the stores. But also we're also saying let's also expand to all 9 provinces. The SS Plaza is not just only in Soweto. We're going to be spreading all those shops.
So how many do you have? What's your intention?
The plan is to have about 100 stores by 2025 and 30,000 stores by 2030. Wow. Now, it's a very ambitious concept, but we believe it's doable and it's achievable. All what we need to do, we just to make sure that we then bring the solution into the space, make sure that we balance. Because remember, we don't want just only the big corporates, because now the big corporates are now moving into the informal economy and say, no, but it's wrong. Whereby you now find the big businesses want to get into this puzzle space. That is why, as SS Plaza, we want to close that gap, make sure that the people that run SS Plaza are people on the ground, then they are able also to earn a living, but also take back what belongs to them, which is their sector.
Yeah, so as we come to, that's very, very exciting. I love what you're saying, bringing that community participation, making everything unique, and having that feeling of this is part of the fabric of that community, yet of a very high standard, of a world-class standard. Now, people wanting to get involved, right, and to now address we have a diverse viewership, and people will be wanting to get a piece of this pie. Maybe be an investor, maybe somebody that wants to own a store and get involved. How can they go about doing this?
No, it's very simple.
Where do they?
Yeah, we're open. They can go to our website, www.sasplaza.co.za, but they also can email me at president@sasplaza.co.za, or go to into the whole website. We've got also your social media, SS Plaza as our social media, then they will find us there. Then they'll be able then to engage. But I'm calling for people to join us on the 13th and 14th at Imbizo, Shisanyama in Mall of Tembisa, and then also join us in Val. We'll also later, talk about the venues and all that. But we are very excited. This is very exciting. Excited about the G20, excited about SAS Plaza, excited about, Inspirate business. Thank you very much for hosting us. It's been a very exciting moment.
Yeah, so as we come to a few minutes left of the show, with everything that's happening, all right, where do you see the township economy? What would you like to see? Let's take a bit of a crystal ball view, right? You said 2030 you want 30,000 stores, but besides that, in general, you talked about manufacturing and other sectors, black industrialists in the township. How do you see this whole panning out in terms of the township economy?
You remember, as I said, our objective is to develop townships we want, the townships of the future. Meaning we need to make sure that townships are the places where people are happy and excited to be part of, and then fight the social ills, the crime, and then teenage pregnancy, unemployment. SA Spaza is coming very big in bridging that gap. Remember the theme or the strategy for South Africa. It's all about economic inclusion, food security, and fighting poverty. Now, as SA Spaza, we're getting into that space, but we just want to make sure that townships it's not left behind in this international and global meetings going forward. South Africa is handing over the baton to America for 2026. We need to make sure that we also export products from the townships that are getting into the G20 countries, most especially exporting our product to the African continent through the Africa Continental Free Trade Area.
No, excellent. Thank you so much for your presence, Mr. Bheki Twala. I think this is a very exciting initiative. I think it is something that will play an integral role in the socio-economic upliftment of our townships. I mean, I look at this background that you are behind, and you look at this major city of gold, and I'm thinking, can you imagine a Soweto that becomes integrated with all the infrastructure? And you think of Alexandra and you're connecting. This is the vision. Thank you so much, and all the best with your future endeavors, and may SA Spaza stores only grow from strength to strength.
Thank you very much.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Hope you enjoyed the show.